Numbers never lie, now you see us blowing up. People used to front, now you see them showing up. So what's up? I've been down and out, but look, keep it a buck, I don't fuck with these niggas. Always been one up on all of these niggas. They be trying to front for all of these bitches. I ain't got time cause they all in they feelings. Ice of the gang and we making a killing. It's 2020 and they notice the vision. You be the hero, I'm playing the villain. The underdogs, and we walking the villain. We getting money, yeah, they think that we dealing. They talking hot, yeah, fuck their opinions. And we won't stop till we all touch a million. Don't ever forgive, but we probably forgive my nigga, I'm living. Taking the cards that was given, my blessings is already written. Wrapped it a ribbon, putting ourselves in positions to making some major decisions. Started from the mud, now you see us going up. Numbers never lie, now you see us blowing up. People used to front, now you see them showing up. So what's up? I've been down and out, but look. I'm trying to get where I'm going, but haters be trolling, that's where they fucked up. Thinking you got me right where you want me, I tell a ghost shit's ducked up. Sending them shots, we send them back, y'all niggas ain't really bout that. Real niggas always bounce back. Need more hands.
Wave, look, why you mad? Get to the bag. Long face, tuck a case, get the cash. I've been living fast, still far from average. Real talk, all this shit is right outside what I imagine. Young, black and raspy, catch me with a lab. Young nigga make the slap that make her body do magic. Won't stop till my bank account magnets. Looking like I'm still running paper routes backwards. Money bags, no advance, snap back like a rubber band. Pretty thing with a suntan, make it bounce back when you do the dance. Call my song, we supposed to pick. See your things through a different lens. Living fast, only one chance. Never pants, how we do the plans. Right? I practice what I preach. They lie or put her out my way, then get lost to see. Not sure what you wanted, but I'm what you need. I know my high just started, but I hit a peak, yeah. Wave, used to just wanna blend in. Big flex, how I do the syntax now that I got the attention. On the rig, you make it really hard, I just wanna be friends. Treat the night like a vignette for what's coming next, hard to see the end. Yeah, I tread water in the deep end. I'll die young and live plenty days on my defense. In real life, we just pretend, let them sleep in. Wish your life feeling like a never-ending repeat of the weekend. I can't believe it. Yeah, got it. Switch up how I breathe every time I see it. Yeah, knowing what you want, I know just what you need. Yeah, yeah. Here's the thing, I got you falling through for the weekend. Chance I put it down, how you need it. Bet I make it hard, I wanna leave it. Ain't nobody realize it's been added something rigorous. I traded in the cars, it was lost for the dividends. I'm calm, but the temperament been strong when I pencil in. Phone steady jumping, screening calls like I'm flipping bricks. Got everybody tapping in, but you been kept it solid. When you look me in the eyes, subtle tell I know you got it. When you do the sauce, make me want it a la carte. Caught me looking at it like the bullseye of the target. Double tap it. Since day one, but I'm seasoned. Put the work in off season. Talk like they ball hard, when all they really do is reach in. Limit time, hearing small talk. Speaking dreams to existence like a young king of the Lincoln. Big facts for the pretense. Link up, we can sync up. Been in the field off the long snap, make a big talk, better sink in. To the whole squad, get a ring ting. Let the ops tell us thing then. Recent life feeling like a never ending repeat of the weekend. I can't believe it. Yeah. Wait. Switch up how I breathe every time I see it. Yeah. Knowing what you want, I know just what you need. Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing, I got you falling through for the weekend. Chance I put it down, how you need it. Bet I make it hard, I wanna leave it. Switch up how I breathe every time I see it. Yeah. Knowing what you want, I know just what you need. Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing, I got you falling through for the weekend. Chance I put it down, how you need it. Bet I make it hard, I wanna leave it.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. And thank you for your patience this morning. We are getting a little bit of a late start. So let me give you a heads up on how the rest of the show is going to lay out this morning. Good morning again to you. Hope you're doing well. I am scheduled to get a phone call from Michelle Dillingham. Her name came up yesterday in relationship to the FC Cincinnati Stadium. I thought it was curious, so I reached out to her after the show, and she's going to call in and give us her thoughts about it. You know, some say she was the pivotal vote as it relates to FC Cincinnati, and now their new sports cathedral has opened, and it's been widely celebrated locally and even nationally. So we shall discuss. I want to get her thoughts on it. Plus, she's running for city council. Is it a good deal? Does she believe it's still a bad deal? We'll talk with her coming up in about 30 minutes. Until then, I want to talk about hot topics. There's a smattering of topics I want to talk about, including Joe Budden. I'm just following the drama. I'm not sure many people have been following that podcast. He and his podcast mates have broken up. And over the weekend, there was a lot of news for a podcast that he did. And it's just a mess right now. The internet is just so unkind. There are very few friends on the internet. Let's put it that way. But it's very, very interesting. You know, as I look at Black media, and I would call his network Black media. He's a Black man. He owns it. Primarily the people that you see on his network are Black folks. So yeah, I think it's Black media. But I want to talk about this morning, 513-873-7134. Again, if you want to share your thoughts, that's the way that you can do it on, or that's one way you can do it on the show. Like any traditional talk show, you can always call in and share your thoughts. But of course, with the magic of technology, you can also text your thoughts into the show. And did you know that there's a couple ways you can actually check out the show every morning? You know, you can check out the live stream, which is more like video, live stream the video on Facebook and YouTube. But if you're into audio, you just want to kick back, check out that podcast, you can find this podcast live streaming the audio on Spreaker Network. Spreaker. Think of speaker with an R. Spreaker, Spreaker, Spreaker Network. And then also the TuneIn network as well. Those are two free apps. And the reason why they're free is because they're hoping that you'll stick around, and they place ads in the stream on their end. And you can still check it out. All right. In terms of audio after the show, I mean, this podcast is everywhere. There's every major platform where there's podcasts, you can check out this show. All right. And let me know if you've been interested in finding it on a particular podcast platform and it's not there. And I'll see what I can do about it. Good morning to you. 513-873-7134. You might have missed it yesterday, but yesterday on the Community Connector podcast, Tiffany Daniels spoke with Nadia Ruffin. Nadia Ruffin is the Urban Farm sister. Some of y'all might remember our interview we did with her going back over a year ago. I thought it was very, very timely. And in that interview, Tiffany Daniels asked Urban Farm sister, you know, what do we need to know? Do we need to be afraid of cicadas? And she was very clear. She said, you have nothing to fear. You have nothing to fear. Everything's going to be okay. You don't have to fear the cicadas. Okay. You don't have to run around like your hair is on fire. You don't have to do any of that. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is just chill. That's it. Now, if you don't believe me, that's one thing. I could totally understand it. Okay. Nate doesn't know what he's talking about. Great. But you've got to believe her because this is what she does. This is what she does. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Hold on. I think this light is super harsh right now. I think I like that a little bit better. Yes. All right. Good morning to you. How are you? Hope you're doing well. So if you don't believe me, believe Urban Farm Sister. If you missed the podcast yesterday, check it out on Facebook. It's up right now. Shout out to Brother Christian Boykin, another episode of the Echo Chamber podcast last night. I know many of you checked it out. I'm loving the momentum. Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. Hey, listen, do me a favor and share the show on Facebook. Share it on your page, or maybe tag a bunch of your friends, let them know about the show, or share it in some of these Facebook groups where you think people might be into it. I'd love to hear it. Tracy writes, people can't tell you what not to be afraid of, and they don't even know why they have a fear. She said they don't bite. That has nothing to do with it at all. Oh, okay. So what does it have to do with it? I mean, if they don't bite, then what does it have to do with it, Tracy? Is it just the fact that there's an insect? I think that that's an irrational fear. I think it's irrational. But you're right. People got all kind of different fears. But that just means that they got challenges they got to work on. Hey, good morning, everybody. People saying happy Tuesday. It is a happy Tuesday, and great to be with you as always. Great to be with you. My night was interrupted because my son, I think he's dealing with some, hold on one second. He's dealing with some allergy type things. And boy, you hear your kids coughing all night long, man. As a parent, you can barely sleep. You can barely sleep. Good morning to you. Tracy's calling in right now. Let's go straight to the phones. Hey, good morning, Tracy.
Hey, how are you, Nathan?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
So I want to just tell people why I can't speak for everybody else, but I want to explain my fear of cicadas. And it's just not cicadas, it's a fear of bugs. I don't like bugs. And when we're specifically talking about cicadas, it's the fact, and I can take my fear back to the first time that I had to deal with them, which was 1987 when it was super horrible. I had to walk to school from O'Brienville to Withrow, and you're walking to school in a swarm of bugs. And while people say, oh, they don't bite, they're harmless, okay, that's good for you. But when you look at the ground and there's thousands of them on the ground, when you're trying to, and I take that back, we didn't walk to school, we ran to school because we were terrified. It was my sister and I. And on one particular day, I was scared to leave Withrow because they were just everywhere. You know, it's just a swarm. And when I finally got the courage to run, because my sister said, "F it, I'm out of here," and she took off running and left me standing on the steps of Withrow, I finally got the courage to run. And I ran. And when I got home, I breathed a sigh of relief and I felt this pitter patter and one got in my shirt. So you can pretty much imagine the meltdown that I had trying to get my shirt off and get that GD bug off of me. It's not that they bite, Nathan. I don't want them to land on me. I don't want to get in my car and find one has somehow gotten into my car. It's psychological. And, it's no different than, and I'm not saying that you have a fear of germs, Nathan, but we all know that you're a germaphobe, and somebody might downplay your, fear of germs or whatever we're going to call it and say, why are you afraid of something that you can't see? It can't hurt you. You're not going to die if you touch a sticky countertop. You're going to let them know this is what I live with, this is what I believe, and it is what it is. And, I know what's coming next, but that's not the same, Tracy. But, that's my fear of bugs. That's why I have a fear of bugs. It could be one of those, what do they call those, millipede things. If I see one that might have crawled up the drain of my bathtub, if I don't have the courage to turn on the bath water and run it back down the drain, I'm going to call one of my kids or my husband to do it. I don't like bugs, and it is what it is. And I'm not in a class by myself. There's a lot of us who don't like bugs. So it is what it is. I have to go to work every Wednesday, and where I work, there are thousands of trees. I work on off of Columbia Parkway, and there's nothing but trees over there. And what else gets in your head is the noise. The noise is deafening, and it's something that I wake up here in cicada season, and I'm just like, are they here yet? Because when the sun comes up, the noise comes up. So, it's psychological. I'm glad it's only once every 17 years. I probably will be trying to convince my husband to relocate where there's not cicadas if they came every year. So that's my 2 cents on cicadas. Will I die? No. But will I be afraid for 6 weeks? Most definitely. And people can laugh if they want to, but, everybody has a fear of something. I just try and be considerate and not be dismissive and downplay people's fears, because it can be crippling for people. So, people have fears, and it's real. And that's all I have to say.
All right, Tracy, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
All right.
Tracy is sharing her stories. I can see that being, you got to walk through it as a kid. I can see that sticking with you. That makes sense. I would have loved to have seen that day when it got in her shirt. Oh my God, I bet it was pure comedy. I wouldn't be laughing at your misfortune. It's just the scene, I'm sure it would have been hilarious. But I get it. Everybody's different. I totally acknowledge that. Man, the aliens, man, all they got to do is drop some cicadas and drop COVID, and we are done. We are done as a nation. Jenny writes, oh, please take that pic down. We got another one. Lisa writes, I have a can of Raid in every room. Are you serious? Y'all are hilarious, man. y'all tickling me because y'all making it something bigger than it really has to be. Come on now. We stronger than this. Come on. This is hilarious. Oh my gosh. We's be okay. We gonna be okay. We'll get through this together. We'll hold hands through this together. And it is what it is. But okay, I get it. 513-873-7134. If you like to share your thoughts, I love to hear them. So Joe Budden, he does a super popular podcast called the Joe Budden Podcast. And when it came to my attention, it was him and a couple of his homies, a white dude named Rory and a black dude named Maul. They've had some interesting moments. They've gotten a lot of plays. I'm talking about up to the hundreds and hundreds of thousands, top in 100,000s every single episode. So very, very popular. Big time deals, and looks like the podcast is broken up. And Joe Budden went on a rant over the weekend, or really last week. I caught up with it over the weekend, in which he was basically firing, his at least one of his podcast hosts. And then Rory and Maul did their own podcast together where they cleared the air. It's got over 1 million views. Many people will be reposting it. In which they talked about it was just about the money. Basically, it made Joe Budden seem like he wasn't trustworthy. Basically, he had something to hide, And what I could say, I've worked by myself in this. I've worked with a crew. I've worked with a partner. I've done all of that. And what I can tell you, man, is that people is people, and I can see where when success starts to happen and then money comes in, I can see where that could break people up because people have egos. Some people feel like they bring more to the group than other people. People have hidden resentments, and it's all cool to a point. But when that money start coming in, people gonna have questions about it. So then another lady came out and said that Joe Budden sexually harassed her. I looked at the video, and essentially they was doing a podcast together. He was making some remarks, and then she felt some way about it. And I'm like, I don't see the Me Too in this, but okay. Defend yourself. Say something back. But it's very, very interesting. I wish the best for Joe Budden, man, because I love the idea of people creating their own media, and he's one of those individuals. He still got podcasts he's doing. We'll see what happens, man. That was a very popular podcast. He replaced them with 2 other guys. It ain't really the same, but if he's the star of the show, it is what it is. And I want to know if anybody's paid attention to it. 513-873-7134. She accused DJ Olivia Dope accused Joe Budden of sexual harassment during a podcast. And I watched the video. She said that, quote, "I am here today still uncomfortable, but I find the bravery to speak out on a very embarrassing situation." And apparently this happened during the recording of a podcast early this year, January 18th, 2021. And which she says essentially, he was saying some stuff that embarrassed her, that made her feel as if, made her feel uncomfortable. He was making some comments about how she was dressed and her beauty and things like that. And and I can see that. Because I can't totally dismiss it, because like if he is like the podcast, let's say it's his podcast, so he's the boss of it, right? And they're on his network, and then he's doing the show with them, pushing up at them, saying something crazy. I can see why she might feel some kind of way about that. I can see that. So I'll keep my eyes on it. We'll see what happens. Just some internet drama that's happening. I'm here for all of it. Danita writes, "Good morning, all. Good morning to you." Greg writes, "If Budden says something kind of controversial, Charlamagne the Guy usually addresses or discusses it on the Breakfast Club." Yeah, they got a going back and forth. They love it. Drop writes, "Cream Cash rules everything around me." Okay. Joe Budden was a rapper, and the songs he put out around 2003 were quite dope. Joe has transitioned to more podcasting about hip hop, but Budden threatens to go all over the place in terms of when he talks about various hip hop topics, so I hardly ever tune in. Okay. DeVoe writes, "That's why you have partnership agreements in place to prevent them from occurring." Yeah, what's up, DeVoe? Yeah, what's up, Greg? Brent, Drop, Jenny. Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. But a lot of people don't think like that. A lot of people don't think like, okay, let me have an agreement in place so that something goes wrong or there's any issues during the life of it that we can have it in place, which I think is important. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not surprised. Like, you think about it, like some of your favorite groups break up. Like Outkast broke up. Like all that crazy dope music, all that money they made together, and they broke up. Now, if Outkast can't stay together, who can stay together? I mean, you think about it. Some of the biggest groups, some of the biggest names, they don't work together. It's just because it's hard to get other human beings to keep rowing in the same direction, all in unison for a long time. That can be very difficult. That can be very difficult, again, especially when you get egos involved, when money gets involved, when feelings get involved, and all that kind of stuff. Good morning to you. Marcia writes, good morning. Charles writes, Joe told that woman he'd be waiting to crack her live on the air. Joe was the boss, and she said she felt sexually harassed. Right. Michelle Dillingham's in the house. She writes, good morning, everybody. Cicada phobia is real. Is it, Michelle? It is. I don't doubt that the phobia is real. I still think it's hilarious. I don't understand you humans that's afraid of insects. Like, how are we going to fight the aliens? How are we going to fight the fish-faced, bug-eyed aliens with the advanced technology? You have to know that there's intelligent life in the universe. You know how we know? Because they didn't reveal themselves during the Trump administration. That shows right there that they're very intelligent. What alien species is going to reveal themselves to humankind when Trump is the president of the United States? It ain't going to happen. I knew that from the top. I was like, damn, Trump's in office. That's going to delay the revealing of the aliens because they're intelligent creatures. They don't want to deal with somebody like that. Oh, the aliens love me. So if you ever wanted to know whether there's intelligent life in the universe, we have the biggest sign. They didn't reveal themselves to us while Trump was in office. Now that Joe's in office, oh man, they might reveal themselves any day now. How are we going to deal with the aliens if we can't deal with the cicadas? Damn, they got us, yo. I'm telling you, and that's America's enemies, wherever they may be. All they got to do is hit us with COVID-20 and then drop the cicadas on us at the same time. We are done. We are done. We are done they could just walk in here and take over. COVID-20 and cicadas, that's all it takes. Come on, folks, we stronger than that. I don't want them landing on me, Nate. Well, then stay out of their world. You're on their planet. Listen, Nadia Ruffin was on yesterday with Tiffany Daniels. Tiffany asked her straight up, so what do we need to know? We would do anything to interfere with the cicadas? And what does she say? No, they don't bite. They're not interested in humans. They don't want to mess with humans. Humans got a bad track record with animals in the environment. We got a bad rap in these nature streets. They don't want to mess with us. Believe me, we of all of God's selfish creatures, and we are the most selfish of all God's creatures, human beings. We are the last people into these species that they want us to bump into. They don't want to bump into us because they know bumping into us means extinction, right? Just ask the Native Americans. I'll tell you all about it. It means extinction. Cass writes, hey, Choppers. Iona writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning, everybody. TNT writes, good morning. Regina writes, good morning. Defmere Monitz writes, good morning. Nat writes, happy Tuesday, Facebook Choppers. It's the freaking creepiness in them invading my personal space. Kurt Flood writes, good morning. Tabitha writes, it's time to sign up for Vaxxer Million. I know that's right. Get your Vaxxer Million on. I hope you win. Drop, I told you a long time ago, after the Barry Goldwater mess and banal Democrat talking points, he needs Viagra. Huh? What? Tiffany writes, good morning. Sister Irish writes, good morning, great people. Jericho writes, oh, Lord. Nat writes, I guess we need a chopper TED talk. Insects are mostly harmless. TNT writes, I feel exactly the same way. Oh, man. Tiff writes, thank you, Tracy. I find it ironic for Nate to shame those afraid of bugs, but yet he has a serious case of OCD. See how they do? The people turn on you real quick. What about your OCD, Nate? Oh, shit. What about your OCD? They don't stop, do they? They don't. Like I told you, nobody gets any slack here, including the host. Fame writes, so a cicada kissed her boobies while she was a teen. You're an adult, ma'am. Oh, man. Drop writes, I love Tracy's calls. Rack her. Here, go ahead and rack her. Oh, man. TNT writes, oh, Lord, not the 100-leg thing. Y'all. Lisa writes, I can have a can of Raid in every room. A can of Raid in every room, Lisa. Come on. Just spray the house one time. That's it. Jerica writes 100. Lynn writes, fear is fear. Okay. Glenn writes, cicada lives matter. Y'all wild. Y'all are wild. Good morning to you. I'm not stopping. It needs to be said. Marcia writes, good morning. Let me see. Joe told that woman he's been wanting to crack her live on the air. Joe is the boss, and she said she felt sexually harassed. I read that already. Dale writes, Nate is all about the egos. Yep, it's all about the egos. All about the egos. The egos of men. The egos of men have destroyed so many great things. Yeah. Brent writes, I blame Erykah Badu for the demise of Outkast. She messed Andre's head up big time. I mean, can a woman do that? Sure, a woman could. A woman could come between two men or a group like that. A woman has that kind of power because a woman has that kind of power over man. Some men. But whatever. Shante writes, Joe Bud is weird. He literally admitted to what? What? Let's get that off the screen. What in the hell? So as I said, I reached out to Michelle Dillingham to see if she'd come on the show to talk about her feelings on FC Cincinnati. And I'm just curious. I mean, she was right there within 400 votes of Jeff Pastor. So let's go to the phones to see who's on the line. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. It's Michelle. How are you doing?
Hey, Michelle. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Good. Just enjoying my fellow cicada phobics calling in.
You too, huh?
Yeah. So, yeah, it's real. But
it's real.
Anyway.
Well, thank you for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't able to be listening yesterday, but I went back and listened to the conversation, you were having on the FC Stadium and the question of, whose wealth is being, who's being enriched by this thing? Like, somebody asked in your show, is your life better, because of the stadium being in the West End? So, and what I wanted to just weigh in on is the fact is that the more we grow, the poorer our city seems to be, right? Like, we have all these massive luxury apartment buildings, stadiums, and yet, the indicator of wealth for all of our people in Cincinnati is still very low. And there's a reason for that, right? So the bottom line is when city council subsidizes these massive projects, it's not really building wealth. It's not using our precious tax dollars to build wealth for our people in our city. It is simply creating wealth for just a very, very few already wealthy people. So my take on the FC Stadium was that it was a very bad decision all the way from the beginning, because it's not a wise use of our public investment, because it's not building wealth for the people of Cincinnati, So, like, when we subsidize things like these tax abatements and TIFs, and we subsidize corporate developers, we're not building wealth for our neighborhoods. And that's why we continue to languish and have generations of people who can't participate economically, right? Who don't have family wealth. And so I'm running for city council because there's other ways to invest public tax dollars that are more equitable and fair, and like it's investing in people. So there's lots of models out there for the public tax dollars, and instead of giving it to stadiums that actually end up costing us more, right? Like look at FC. Who's paying for the roads around FC, and who's paying for the police to patrol it, and who's paying for the maintenance of this infrastructure? It's the taxpayer. You know, for years upon years, we will end up paying. The FC is not generating wealth, because how is wealth generated? It's through taxes. But we've exempted almost all the taxes for Burning and his investors, right? So it's not a wealth generator. And, you know, to talk about them creating jobs, Nathan, you talked about it yesterday. Look at the jobs they're creating. I mean, these are part-time, seasonal, low-wage jobs, right? This is not the kind of like middle-class building job generator. I mean, that's not what a stadium does. The sad thing is we all knew this. You know, I don't know about the people who voted on city council for it, right? David Mann, you know, Smitherman, Amy Murray, I think at the time, Jeff Pastor. I don't know what they were thinking, you know, when they were voting for this. I can only imagine it was just a short-term way to enrich themselves in some way, because it certainly was not in the best interest of Cincinnati.
Going back when this idea was even put out there before council voted on it, you were diametrically opposed to it. My question is, and it came up yesterday, is if you were on council during the last term, is there any way that they could have sweetened the pot? Is there any concessions, any part of the CBA that would have turned your mind, that would have changed your mind and made you vote for FC Cincinnati Stadium? I know it's all hypothetical, but I'm just curious.
Well, here's the thing. What is, you know, look, we could sit back and say, what makes Cincinnati special, right? When you have friends come to visit Cincinnati, where do you take them? I mean, okay, maybe somebody will say, well, I'll take them to a ball game on the riverfront. But for the most part, our stadiums are not what attracts people to cities. It's not what makes cities special. You know, it's our neighborhoods. And I mean, I would just say, I don't think that stadium belongs where it was put, in the West End. The West End has an incredible historical and current story, right? There are actual people living there. Things were happening there. They wanted to paint this picture that it was some sort of wasteland down there and there was nothing there. So why not, you know, build something? And you know how insulting that is, right? So I wouldn't have even put the stadium in the West End. You know, if I was on council, I would have said, go to Newport, you know, go somewhere, go to Queensgate, you know, go down where Rheingeist set up their brewery. I mean, it is, they wanted to take over that neighborhood, and they are already trying to rename it. I don't know if you guys are watching this community council boundary issue that's coming up, but that's all part of this, right? They want to be able to, they want to be able to come in and chop up blocks of our neighborhoods for their, you know, for their profit, and take it out of the public sphere and privatize it for themselves and rename it like Wrigleyville or whatever. Do you hear all that, what Linder was talking about?
I did not, no.
Oh, yeah. So they want to, you know, chop up the West End and rename it. And, you know, they like to slap on words like Renaissance and reimagination and transformation. And I don't have to tell the people who listen to your show what all that means, you know? So back to the question, I would have said a soccer stadium doesn't belong in one of our historic neighborhoods, bottom line. And honestly, I am not concerned, and nor should any other council candidate or serving public servant be concerned about profit making for billionaires. That is not why people elect us, right?
Right.
We're supposed to be looking at, okay, we have vacant lots in our city. How can we take tax dollars and invest in the people and the neighborhood businesses that are already here? Abandoned lots, can we invest in a neighborhood business? Can we take a vacant lot and turn it into a community garden? Can we look at an old crapped out building and see if we can put some money into it to create some affordable units of housing? Right? Who on council is thinking about like this? All they care about is stuff like Liberty and Elm, which, by the way, is completely out of reach for most people who live in the city to pay that rent, myself included. Oh, yeah, it's pretty. It's going to have gates on it. Oh, they're going to slap a mural up to honor Black lives. I mean, right? Behind a gate that nobody can get into. And we're publicly subsidizing that thing. And guess what? It's only going to cost us for years and years. And they're not even paying their taxes, their full tax bill, to help cover the costs that they've now created for the city. I mean, this is maddening, right? These tax evasions. This is why this has been my issue for so long. All it's really about, where are we putting our money? We're not putting it into people. We're putting it into corporate developers' profits. And no wonder we have all the problems we have, and we can't fund basic services. So bottom line, we need to invest tax dollars in things that will generate wealth, not create more maintenance down the road that the taxpayer has to pay for, that now we don't even get the revenue because they're all exempted to pay, from paying their taxes. It's upside down. It's a Ponzi scheme, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the short-sightedness of these people who get elected and don't think, what about our grandchildren? How are our grandchildren going to benefit from the decisions we make today? Do you think your grandchildren are going to benefit from FC Soccer Stadium? Can you think of all the other ways we could have used all that tax dollars we spent on that thing? It's so disgusting. Even people I know that enjoy soccer and like soccer are just so turned off by this project because of everything that it represents. It's just the worst of everything.
Well, Michelle, listen, I appreciate your time. I was just wanted to pick your brain a bit to get your thoughts about it. So,
man, well, I appreciate the opportunity because all I can say is we don't have to keep doing things the way we always did them, but we need people in there who don't have Carl Linder on their campaign finance reports, because guess what? You're going to keep getting what you always got. So let's elect some people who, want to invest in people in this city. We can do that. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Appreciate
All right.
you.
Take it easy, everyone.
So there
Bye.
it is. That answered the question that came up yesterday. She said she didn't like the placement of it. She was on council. It was a wrap. She said something that I agree with as well. She said, why are we in the business of making more money for billionaires? That's what I said from the very beginning. Who cares what the lenders wants? The Josephs and the lenders and whoever else is involved. Who cares? They're already rich. They're filthy rich. They're rich many times over. Way richer than you and me probably ever be in our lifetime. Everybody in this audience take the whole net worth and magnify it by 100, and it still probably won't reach their wealth. But yeah, I'm supposed to be all super, super into investing in something that's only going to benefit them. Again, that's this city. And then mofos in this city, because it's got Cincinnati on it and it's sports related, and it's got some cool colors, they roll with it. Oh, it got some cool colors? Sports? Cool. Come on, man. We got to think outside the box, or at least stop falling for the same old games over and over again. But there it is. It is what it is. She said, how is FC Cincinnati going to benefit your grandchildren? That's a very good question. I know how it's going to benefit the lenders' grandchildren because they're going to own it. That's their stadium. It's not your stadium. It's their stadium. They're getting something out of it. All we're getting out of it as consumers is a feeling. Oh, I hear you. You're saying, oh, you get a chance to go see Major League Soccer? So what? We already got a chance to see soccer. It was at Nippert Stadium. You could already see it. It works so perfectly. But I know, MLS, Major League Soccer, they have their rules, and we have to, in Cincinnati, we have to bend over backwards for other people's rules and, what other people's visions is. Not what's best for the vision of Cincinnati, but what other people's vision is. You got to bend over backwards for that because we're so thirsty for development. And then I think you have these novices on city council who just want to say that, I'm pro-development without really thinking about the long-term impact of what those developments might mean. And at the same time, remember we had Greg Landsman. He called into the show last week and talked about his anti-corruption bill or proposal that he was the only person that voted for. That's another question that people should be asking. You should be asking your city council, like, what's up with the no-knock warrant reform? Where y'all at with that? That shit just disappeared. That shit was serious to people, but it just disappeared. But yeah, at least we got issue 1 and issue 2. My people, man. I can't go nowhere because the work is just getting started. We can't go anywhere, folks. We have to be here every day to bring some common sense to the airwaves in Cincinnati. Because if not for us, there'd be no fucking common sense. Tabitha writes, we don't even like soccer. Yeah, well, your grandchildren get a chance to go back and go to the game. Meanwhile, the lenders' grandchildren, they'll be walking in through the private elevator for the executives and the ownership. Right? But we supposed to act like it's all the same, like they giving us some gift. The gift of what? Going to a soccer game just to watch a losing team? But we did it again. We did it again. So it is what it is. But enjoy it. If that's what you into and you love FC Cincinnati, enjoy it. I'm just talking about the politics of it. Don't let me, rain on your parade. It's their stadium until something breaks. Then it's our bill, right? Anthony writes, do we have a vision or do we just disagree with everything? I mean, I don't know about we. I got a lot of visions on a lot of issues. And no, I don't disagree on everything. But some things need to be called out. Let me see. Ronald writes, there's nothing wrong with having a soccer team. There is something wrong with allowing them to displace people. There is something wrong with them using taxpayer dollars to get it up and running and then taking those tax dollars out of circulation. City council has failed. Well, I mean, we'll have to wait and see. That's what I said. We got a great opportunity coming up this year because we can decide what kind of city council that we want, at least as much as we can tell, right? Because you can't tell everything dealing with people, right? Because people can hide stuff from you and who they reveal and hide who they really are. I get you, but we have an opportunity in November to do it a different way. We can do something different. How pseudo love guru Kevin Samuels exploits the vulnerability of Black women. I'm reading this on thegrio.com, written by Eartha Hopkins. Oh boy, here we go again. In a racist, white supremacist environment, Samuel's assertions only affirm an Anglo-Saxon ideology using Black women as an easy scapegoat. Oh boy, they pontificating on brother Kevin Samuels now. Here we go. Here we go. Oh my God. False expertise, toxic masculinity. Kevin Samuels is the poster child for a group of Black men in dire need of love and acceptance from the world. His bootstraps rhetoric screams pick me from white men who clearly have no interest in doing so. He serves Uncle Ruckus vibes on a platter, using every statistic he can to project his own internalized self-hatred. It's absolutely egregious and dangerous that this man, who has been on the planet for more than a half a century, would proudly encourage assimilation as a viable solution to the relationship woes between Black men and black women of today. If he is the godfather responsible for leading the new wave of black male masculinity, it would seem odd that his first victims would be black women who, even today, are his greatest allies. Damn, let that man breathe. He got a YouTube. Why they acting like his YouTube channel is like changing the world or something? It's a fucking YouTube channel. That's it. It's entertainment, nothing more. Damn, I'm telling you, it's some women, man. They see a brother out here shining, saying something that's controversial. They want to start getting all intellectual with it. It's nothing more. You don't have to dissect all this. It's like Wheel of Fortune. Ain't no magic to it. They got a wheel and some letters and some money. It's simple. It's a YouTube channel. Nothing more than that. That's it. And you can't get mad at him because women keep coming on this show asking for his advice for whatever the reason, or that men do it as well, because people conveniently leave the fact that he goes hard at men as well when they want to critique that brother. I don't see no problems with it whatsoever. And the more people critique it, the more I like it, quite honestly. Let him live. Let him live. Brother started talking about having some standards. All of a sudden, he's anti somebody. He's not anti anybody. He's pro himself. He's trying to promote his channel, promote his business, and put money in his pocket. That's it. That's it. Jack writes, everyone trying to ride the Kevin Samuels coattails. The Breakfast Club even did it. He got numbers. Is that right? Has he been on the Breakfast Club? I don't know. Drop writes, Kevin Samuels is good until he says he's a Republican, voted for Trump. Yeah, you're right. Crystal writes, good morning. Glenn writes, the Bengals won't get better until they fire Zach Taylor and hire a real coach. We have the generational quarterback. I'm just saying. Do we? Dang, he's a generational quarterback, right? Tabitha writes, why won't the city invest in the Lincoln Center? Because they want it. They will let the bricks fall off and then say we didn't want it. David writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Hey, good morning to you, David. Good to see you, brother. Yeah, I mean, damn, I'm reading this article on Legrio in which his sister is going in on Kevin Samuels. It's like one of the longest articles I've seen in a long time. She got bullet points: unrealistic expectations, objectification of women, toxic masculinity, false expertise, internalized hatred. Okay. Y'all blowing, and see, all these articles, all they do is to serve to bring them more subscribers. That's it. You know, it's a show. That's what it is. It's a show. He puts on a show. If you don't want to be a part of the show, then don't call into the show. It's really simple. You know what you're going to get. Nobody said this about Judge Judy. When Dr. Laura Schlesinger, when Dr. Laura Schlesinger was doing what she did, it was, oh, this is great. Oh, she had tough love. But I guess because she was a white female, she had more credentials. She was more credible than him. I've heard people say things like, well, who is he to give advice? He's the guy with nearly 1 million subscribers on YouTube. That's what gives him the right to do it. The fact that he's got an audience that'll buy into it and want to consume it is the justification in and of itself. That's the only justification he needs in today's world. You don't need no damn degrees to talk about relationships. Who says you need that? You don't need that. Milami writes, I like Kevin Samuels. At the end of the day, all he talks about is black unity and being accountable for your actions, and everybody is mad. Stop right there. Sis is so correct. Right. If you really listen to him, all he's saying is be better. That's all he's saying. All he's saying is to men, step your game up. To women, be better and be realistic. That's all he's saying. Now, everything in between is the show. So he's going to cuss people out and he's going to throw them out there because that's a part of the show. That's what keeps people coming back. But if you listen to his message, I agree with Milani. He's just saying, step your game up, black man. Okay, message received, brother. I hear you. Sister, he's saying, sister, step your game up. Well, with these women and men, the reason why they go to their show is because they want that tough love. That's it. Nothing more than that. TNT writes, because it's time out on using black women as a stepping stone for his own self-elevation. Kevin Samuels can kick rocks. Oh, really? Damn. I don't think he's using black women. He talks about black men too, and nobody wants to talk about that. I play the clips when they come up. We want to conveniently say he's only talking about black women. That is not true. He's talking about black people in particular. Really, he's talking about people across the board, black or white. But he's a black man, so he focuses on the sisters and the brothers, and that's just what he does. I don't see no problem with it. I really don't. If anybody has a problem with it, it should be the people that decide to call into the show, allow them to be critiqued, and then you want to get mad about it. Why are you getting mad about it? Good morning, Choppers. Late to the Chop Shop this morning. Well, better late than never, brother. Always good to see you, Roots. Let me see. Breakfast Club, DJ Envy and Angela Yee talked down on him for some attention, in my opinion. Is that what they was doing? Looking for attention? Charlie Winburn writes, good morning, great people. Love, live, laugh, and have fun. You only have one human life. That's right. Milani going hard. Brent writes, also no one said about Jerry Springer and Maury Povich. Yeah, they weren't as critical as Dr. Lori Schlesinger and Kevin Samuels is. Kevin Samuels is super critical, but that's what he says. He says, look, if this is what you want, that's it. Danita writes, Kevin Samuels puts on the show. It isn't that serious. That's kind of sounds like the same thing parents tell you every year about Santa Claus. It isn't that serious. Oh, look at you trying to make points. It's completely different. Don't try to slide that in, Danita. Look at Danita trying to be slick. Talking about Kevin Samuels puts on the show. It isn't that serious. This kind of sounds like the same thing about parents tell you every year about Santa Claus. It isn't that serious. It is not the same. It's nowhere near the same. Look at her. No, you tried it though. No. Try to slide Santa Claus into this point. No. She tried it though. Oh, that's hilarious. TNT writes, and lose subscribers because I watched it once and I'm one and done. It's too much other content that bring more value to my life than a pompous jerk opinion. Damn. We need more black male pompous jerks. That's what we need for justifiable reasons. Like I said, I got no problem with arrogant black people. None whatsoever. Like them. That's what it is. Some women don't like his so-called arrogance, but I don't think that he's arrogant. I think he's just confident. Nothing wrong. He feels like he's worth it. He feels like he's worth it. So I don't have a problem with that. None whatsoever. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning, comrade.
Hey, what's up? Black Russia.
What's happening?
Doing well, brother. Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, listen, I don't know if you had much conversation about this, but have you been watching what's going on with Israel and Hamas over in the Gaza Strip?
I am.
I find that very interesting. What are your thoughts on that? You know, I'm just watching the commentary, reading the news, and, you know, of course, Israel saying they're defending themselves, but we see mass casualties on the Hamas side, and they're saying, you know, Israel is trying to infringe upon their territory. What do you think is going on with this? I think it's worth a conversation.
Well, with Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been going on for way too long now.
Thousands of years, yeah. But I mean, in this current moment, you know, what do you think is going on? I mean, what I'm hearing, both sides are playing politics, you know.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely politics. I mean, just taking a real long view without the specifics of this current skirmish, right? Just a long view of it. Yeah. I think that Israel has more power. Has more power. And I think that when you have more power, you have more responsibility. That's my critique in general.
Okay. So you don't think that, you know, of course, Hamas has been labeled by America as a terrorist organization. Right. So it's like the bully in the schoolyard, you know, and somebody walks up to the bully and tries to, you know, bully the bully, and they end up getting their head knocked off. You don't think that Hamas, in some respects, is getting what they asked for? Because, you know, allegedly they started launching missiles into Israel because, you know, they got the alarm system, they all had to take cover. So, you know, Israel's the type, they kill ants with sledgehammers.
Right.
You know, and so
I hesitate to really get deep into it because I think in general, there's a lot of miseducation about the historical perspective on how this all started. I think that Americans, including myself, have largely been miseducated about the beginnings of this. And I think that's a part of the narrative as well. I think it's real easy to say in real time, and lay blame on who did what and who's a terrorist and who's not. But I think that Americans in general need to have a history lesson, a real history lesson about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict first, before we start to, give strong opinions about what we see in the news today.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm just seeing kids getting bombed, on the Palestinian side. So it makes you think like, well, why is Israel, killing the kids? Why, this will be precision, but they're killing the kids. So why is Israel going this far? I'm just looking at it from like an American perspective, like everybody else, and for me, it's more or less, when is Biden going to stop the fight? Is he strong enough to stop the fight? Or is Benjamin Netanyahu calling the shots on Joe Biden? I mean, that has to be asked at this point. Is the American president more powerful than the Israeli prime minister?
Not in Israel.
Okay, right, exactly.
Yeah, not in Israel, he isn't. We know that.
Right, but I don't know. I'm just watching it. I'm just seeing, the casualties keep going up, and in the African American community, we don't really have these conversations around these things. Partially because we don't believe. A lot of people, I'm gonna say, don't believe that the Israelis over there are the true Israelites anyway. So, but the power play behind what Israel is doing and how much influence they have in America, really, African Americans need to educate themselves, like you said. I need to get more education on it. I just see it from, the perspective of Israel's, getting bombed and they're retaliating in a very forceful way, and the American president is pretty much silent on it.
Mm-hmm. All right, brother. Anything else? Oh, did you hear Michelle Dillingham call in?
Today?
Yeah, she called in today.
Oh, I missed it. Yeah. I'll check the replay. Probably later on. Well, probably tomorrow because I'm tied up. But
back to our conversation, though. Basically, what she said, if she was on council, she would have shot it down because she didn't think that the West End was the right place for it off the top.
Okay, so let's stop right there. Okay, right. So let's stop right there. So basically, listeners, what I said yesterday was validated by what Michelle Dillingham said today. Facts. She would have shot it down because she didn't even like the location. But check it out, though. That was exactly the reason why they wanted that location in the West End. Because that was the prime real estate that MLS wanted to move their stadium into, because that's generally the model they're using throughout the league, that they want nice, state-of-the-art stadiums in urban settings. So Michelle Dillingham basically told you, I guess this morning, I didn't hear it, I'm going to recap and get all the details, but she told you she would have voted no. So back to my original point yesterday, the 223 people who voted for Jeff Pass over Michelle Dillingham, thank you. I appreciate you as a Cincinnati and for doing your duty to make sure that we got development in the West End, where it hasn't been developed for over 100 years.
Well, we couldn't have got development without a stadium.
Well, no, we couldn't. No, we couldn't, because you just heard Michelle Dillingham. Michelle Dillingham just told you she wasn't about developing the West End. That's what she said.
She said she didn't think the FC Cincinnati Stadium, that the West End was the right place for the FC Cincinnati Stadium. That's two different things.
But the thing is, the MLS has a model, and the West End was the only option for the FC Cincinnati Stadium. Okay. Period.
So we supposed to jump through hoops for everybody else's model? Who cares about MLS's model? I never cared.
Well, you want to join MLS. You want to join the MLS, so you have to go through their model.
Not every Cincinnatian thought that was a great idea. You could still watch FC Cincinnati at Nippert.
Yeah,
what are we getting out of this extra investment in the lower league,
in a USL?
So you still get a chance to see professional soccer?
No, that's basically semi-pro, bro.
Okay,
USL is trash.
Professional soccer, you can still watch a soccer game. So
man, it's different, bro. It's different.
I don't think this is. But you're right, it's different. But is the difference big enough to justify the taxpayer burden moving forward? Some would say no.
Only time's going to tell. We don't know that. This
we
is
do know
new.
already, man. Why we keep acting like this, man? They ain't making no new
money. Give me some numbers. Where's the taxpayers been? I'm asking. I'm just educating, bro.
We'll just look at the history. So we got two stadiums already on the riverfront. How many new money millionaires did those two stadiums being built make for us?
I have no clue.
And Bengal Stadium.
New money millionaires? I don't know,
New
bro.
money
Educate me.
right.
I'm trying to get educated. You telling me I'm wrong? I hear that, but I'm just saying, give me some evidence of that.
I'm just saying that's the evidence. The evidence, we got 2 stadiums already, and it hasn't changed the economic upward mobility of anybody in this city. So, for instance, in Cincinnati right now, per a study that was put out by the Women's League, Black female is, as a demographic, they have a higher concentration of Black females with and without college degrees that are making less than $15 an hour, right? The upward
without college degrees, okay,
with or without. Economic upward mobility for Black women is a concern in Cincinnati. How is the FC Cincinnati Stadium going to improve that? It's not.
Well, let's take it back in time though. Because you want to take a historical stance of this. Let's do that. We had an African American mayor named Mark Mallory, who was in there for 8 years, and his MBE and SBE numbers for minorities was at 2%. Those are facts. So you want to talk about upward mobility? The mayor who was in there, who allegedly was African American, got us 2% of minority business contracts for enterprise.
But you're changing the conversation, though.
No, I'm not changing the conversation because we're taking a historical view of this. You're talking about how many new money millionaires were made out of stadiums. The stadiums weren't designed to make new money millionaires. Exactly. You want that to happen.
Exactly.
But that's what you wanted.
Right.
That's what you wanted. But that wasn't the design.
Stadiums aren't designed to make new money millionaires. If they're not
they never were.
I agree with you. And that's why I didn't think it was a good idea. Why should we as taxpayers be supporting something that's not going to make a lot of money for a lot of people? Why would we do that?
How are taxpayers supporting TQL? They built that with their own money.
Okay.
That was built solely by the lender family.
Okay.
Those are facts. I mean, you can dispute the facts with that one. They built their own stadium.
Who's taking care of the street costs?
Oh, the street costs?
Yeah. Surrounding the stadium.
The taxpayers take care of all the street costs everywhere in the city, bro. Okay. What are you talking about?
Okay.
I'm just saying, we pay for the streets to be clean everywhere. What you're telling me
is that you don't understand how taxpayers are supporting this. So it's my job it's my job to educate my brother, to let you know.
Look, what you're saying is diametrically opposed to the whole point that I'm trying to make. You're trying to talk about street costs. Bro, the street costs to clean the streets everywhere in Cincinnati has always been supported by taxpayers. Infrastructure's always been built by taxpayers. Okay? But we're talking about the stadium? The stadium itself was built by the lender family, private money, and their investors, of which one of the owners is an African-American male. So don't get it twisted, okay? Because believe that, we at least got one new money Black millionaire.
No, he was already wealthy. The brother you talking about was already wealthy.
I don't know about that. I don't know if it's
already a
was.
multi-millionaire.
I know it's probably double now. Yeah, I don't know. Look him up. You educate. I don't know. I don't know if he's a money millionaire or not. He might have been half a millionaire. He wouldn't be
a part of the ownership group if he didn't have money already.
Okay, he might have money, but we're talking about millionaire money. You ain't necessarily got to have millionaire money to be a part owner of that. I'm just saying, look the brother up. Okay. Look, but we're talking about the cost of the taxpayer. I'm saying taxpayers always pay for streets. They always pay for infrastructure. You want to tie that to TQL? I'm telling you, TQL was built by the lender family and their investors.
I'm telling you that deal doesn't go through without the support of taxpayer dollars from the city of Cincinnati.
But you know what? 223 voters voted for Jeff Pastor, and I'm going to say it again. Thank you, 223 voters, because you heard Michelle Dillingham tell the taxpayers she was not going to support a TQL stadium in the West End. So thank God for the voters. Right. So she can go on to her next endeavor. Maybe she'll get elected this time around. Maybe she don't. But the reality is those 223 voters helped Cincinnati get a national stage on Sunday, and we're going to have a national stage probably for World Cup coming. So, people can cry, moan, and all that other stuff.
I'm gonna just to help educate my brother, I'm gonna post a link for you that clearly delineates what the ownership is paying for and what we are paying for. Okay, so
for the actual stadium,
for the deal. So you want
to
keep
for the stadium? No, I'm on the stadium. No, bro. No, you change. Now you change the subject.
Period.
I'm talking about the stadium. You talking about the deal. I'm talking about the stadium. Well, you started with the stadium.
Then you talking about a small piece. I'm talking about the whole pie.
The stadium was the majority of the money, bro. The stadium was like damn near $200 million.
Okay, well, it begs the question why they need taxpayer either deferments on taxes or taxpayer dollars at all, which is what I argue. These people that's the ownership of the FC Cincinnati, they got enough money to fund the entire deal on their own. Why? And pay for their taxes. So why aren't they doing that?
Because taxpayers always pay for streets to get paved. They always pay for infrastructure. So now you want to ask millionaires to pay for some shit that they don't pay for anyway.
I'm asking millionaires to pay their fair share in taxes on an annual basis.
They did, bro. They built
via the port deal. They're not doing. You don't know what you're talking about, bro. But I just posted.
No, I do know what I'm talking about, bro.
So you can get educated. No, you do not. Because this is a taxpayer-supported deal. Everybody knows it. Don't try to revise history and talk about, well,
I'm not revising history,
the lenders are paying for the
stadium.
gates. This is a taxpayer-supported deal, and the question has to be put out there again. If the lenders and the Josephs and this black guy you talking about, I can't remember the brother's name, they got all this money, right? Why do they need any taxpayer dollars at all? Why didn't they pay for the entirety of the deal and pay their fair share in taxes on an annual basis, which they're not doing? They got a sweetheart deal where every single deal, they got a sweetheart 30-year state deal where they pay no taxes. Why?
Bruh,
y'all millionaires.
No, Mike Brown got the sweetheart deal, bro. We're gonna be paying for that forever. That deal is totally separate. If you look at the Mike Brown deal with Paul Brown Stadium,
you're right. It is lopsided. You're right.
It's totally lopsided.
It's just as bad as this deal, in my opinion. Again,
we'll disagree on that one.
If you're dealing with people that's worth $2.5 billion, why do they need any taxpayer support on any level?
That's short-sighted, bro. That's short-sighted.
No, that's short-sighted. That's unimagined. That's a lack of leadership, a lack of vision from leadership. Pay for everything.
The leaders spoke. The voters spoke. 223 people pushed the deal through.
Right.
Okay, that's democracy, right? Michelle Dillingham got on the radio and basically spewed her anti-development philosophy. And if Cincinnati wants anti-development people on city council, Michelle Dillingham's your woman, all right? Because she sit here and told you it was going to be a no matter what. And you was trying to tell me yesterday, you was trying to tell the listeners yesterday that the deal probably would have went through anyway, but Michelle Dillingham would have got a better deal. Those are lies and damn lies, because she just told the listeners that she was a no matter what, bruh. That was your assumption. That was your assumption. That was your assumption. You can't. Well, okay. Your opinion was your opinion, but she got on here and told you what she felt. So your opinion was off base, bro.
Right.
Because she told you she was no matter what.
Set the record straight.
Right, and I'm glad too. And I'm gonna recap, but I'm glad the listeners got an opportunity, and I'm glad she's on record now. You know, I'm gonna run that down her throat. She was a no matter what. She is anti-development. I'll see you at the ballot box in November, comrade.
All right, brother. Thank you for the call. That's Black Russia. Check out that link I just posted, man, so you can see the deal. Like I said, that's what I said from the beginning. Why, if you got all these incredibly wealthy people from Cincinnati, why do they need anything from the taxpayers at all? Pay for every dollar, every cent, every brick, and pay every dollar in taxes. Locally, statewide, pay all your taxes. Why are they getting a sweetheart deal and they're multi-billionaires? Why do we do that? Meanwhile, if you're a working man, you go try to go here and work with the city, they'll run your ass down. So I stand by what I said. I mean, I have no problem if some wealthy people want to get together and build them a stadium, then go build your stadium. Don't ask me for it, for any money. Just go build it and pay your fair share of taxes. How many new money millionaires did the building of Great American Ballpark or the Bengal Stadium actually create? It could be somebody out there who came up on the deal. I don't doubt it. I haven't heard it. Don't know who they are. But that's the question we should be asking. Why are we spending all this time and energy to make multi-billionaires? They're already wealthy. They're already wealthy. But we shall see. Again, it's early. I wish the best. Now that it's been built, let's wish for the best, and we shall see. I'm sure the numbers will come out. Give it 3 years. We'll see. Tim Scott of FC Cincinnati. Sarai writes, the city gave that stadium $7.7 million. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that, because he wants to believe that they didn't do that. Sarah writes, what the hell is he talking about? On top of TIF and tax abatements, right? And a sweetheart deal to pay no taxes, state taxes, property taxes. Like, what are we getting out of it? What kind of jobs are they really going to be creating? Probably won't be $15 an hour. Probably won't be union jobs. We'll see. Temporary part-time jobs. Selling gourmet pizza bites and popcorn bites to Cincinnati's elites. Oh, yum, yum, yum. Krista writes, and look where Pastor is. Right, look where Pastor is now. Wish that brother the best. Innocent until proven guilty, but not on council right now. I don't know. Let me see. Charles writes, those 223 voters probably feel stupid now with the way Jeff returned the favor. How you feeling? Morning, Chopper. You got to get close to the mic, buddy. Good morning, Chopper. Good morning to you. How you feeling? Good. You good? Coughed all night? Yeah. Mm-hmm. You woke me and your mother up. We had to come in there with you. Mm-hmm. You all right? Mm-hmm. All right. All right. Yeah. Neither did Daddy. I understand. Daryl writes, here's the problem with Cincinnati half-stepping. If you want to be a big boy city, then you must include black people culturally and financially. The white people in Cincinnati area like things based on white culture, which is why venues appear stale and bland. The powers that be fail to recognize the black economic power base. Now we are issues in Atlanta, but they only can go so far because these companies know messing with black folks is messing with their bottom line. Black people in Cincinnati make the white power structure feel our economic power. I'm with you on that, 100%. TNT writes 2 bad deals, right? Let me see. Roots writes, the lenders don't need money from anyone. Roy writes, tax abatements are bad for school and bad for the city. It's lost revenue. And we had this conversation, and Michelle Dillingham was helping to put that conversation out there years back. Just like Yvette Simpson would have got a better deal for Avondale from UC Hospital, right? It's the same way. Her and what's up with Wendell Young? What's the latest? They still going for Wendell? I hope he don't resign. And I don't think they're going to get enough votes from City Council to use issue 2 to push him out, but we shall see. 2 shot near TQL Stadium around midday night. 2 people were shot near the TQL Stadium in the West End. Apparently there was a drive-by shooting on the west side of the TQL Stadium. Okay, great. All right, we got John from Princeton calling in. Really, he's from Florida now. Let's see what's on his mind. What y'all want to bet John's not on topic? What you want to bet John want to talk about Biden? I'm going to go ahead and bet. Let's see. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Nathan Ivey and the good people of Cincinnati, as well as the good people around the world and the choppers and the little one. We've got to keep our conversation censored because the little one is in the studio. He's taking notes from his father. So good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, yes, maybe 5% on Biden, but the focus is on the last caller that you just had on. Was that Drop there you had on?
That sounded like Drop, didn't? No, that was that was Black Russia.
Black Russia. Okay, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was interesting flows that you had, both of you going back and forth. Part of it was on Israel, which we'll get into in a second. And you were talking about the Cincinnati stadium. I believe you have a brand new stadium there built, and I'm assuming part of that money comes from the taxpayers' dollars. As I'm listening to you talking about the stadium, as I flash back before I left New Jersey, and the New York Giants built that stadium. A lot of people forgot the Giants got that $1 billion stadium, and $400 million of that money came from the taxpayers, and they had no say so. And I remember some of the groups were arguing when they had meetings prior before the stadium being built, and the taxpayers have a right to show up at these meetings, and they were pushing for a dome stadium. As we see with these weather patterns across the country, even on the East Coast and the Midwest, I don't understand why the NFL commissioner has not forced every stadium up and down the East Coast, even the Midwest, those winter stadiums in Minnesota, Cincinnati, all those stadiums you should put a dome over it. Do what? I mean, the smartest owner in the NFL is the Dallas Cowboys owner. He's got an open and closed dome. If it's hot, he opens it up. If it's bad weather, he closes it. You imagine all the things you can do. You can get the Olympics, track and field, basketball, college football. What are these owners thinking about? Unbelievable. And you're using taxpayers' dollars to build these. Florida, down in Florida, I'm looking at that Dolphin Stadium. It looks like a spaceship, wide open, unbelievable. That's another story at another time. But as I'm listening to you and Black Russian talk about the stadium, does the city of Cincinnati? Maybe this is one question before we get into Israel. Does the people of Cincinnati or the state has the right to protest and show up at those meetings as they plan for a stadium, either before, after expansion, whatever? Do the people have an option to show up and voice their opinion, being though they're using their taxpayers' dollars anyway?
Yeah, the people have a right to show up.
So, given that set in mind, I don't know what the amount of the cost, the price tag of that stadium in Cincinnati, and how much of it was used for taxpayers' dollars. The people should demand either we as taxpayers get what we want, or you're not using our money. Well, you know how the people are. They're like sheep led to slaughter. They don't care. That twists into Trump and everything else. But, unbelievable how people do not see where their taxpayers' dollars is going in this country, being flushed down the damn toilet. And now let's merge into Israel. And our dollars being used for Israel to be the, should we say, David and Goliath? The Palestinians with their rocks and slings, and Israel with the bombs, rocket ships, dropping bombs. Yes, those tax choppers, that millions, billions of dollars that Israel gets comes from the U.S. To that last caller, let me put you up to speed with history with the Palestinians and the Israeli community. I'll make it really short. This goes back a long way. For thousands of years, they've been fighting in that region. That's not going to change anything. But the U.S. and the UN plop Israel and the Jews in that area, which was owned by the Palestinians for years. And Israel has been biting into that land of the Palestinians little by little, even digging underground tunnels, building museums on the Palestinians' property. And we saw what that idiot Trump did for 4 years, allowing Israel to do what they want and allowing Israel to appoint their statehood on the Palestinians' property. That's insane. So presidents in this country for 50 years have been saying, we get the code words in the media this morning on Morning Joe. Oh, Israel has a right to defend itself. I've heard that crap before. Why aren't the people in this country being outraged, telling Israel, either you stop or we're not giving you no more of our money? Well, stop the press for a second. Israel has a noose around the U.S. neck, and I'm bringing you up to speed with history. It goes all the way back to Hitler and Germany. Israel knew the six wealthiest families in this country has bankrolled Hitler 60 years ago. Oh, you didn't know about that, Chopper? Well, I'm bringing you up to speed. Israel knows the dirty games the U.S. was playing with Hitler. See, America plays this game when they appoint these dictators, and Hitler was a dictator, propped up by the U.S., knowing that U.S. was going to take him down the line. And the U.S. sat back and watched the concentration camps. They sat back and watched the Jews being tortured. They said nothing. Israel got the goods on the U.S. So for 50 years, Israel has been forcing the U.S. to pay billions of dollars. If not, they're going to unleash the mercy of the U.S. in the media. Oh, the U.S. don't want that. So every president, oh, yes, but let's not forget Barack Obama. Oh, Israel has a right to defend itself. But Barack Obama, Bush Jr., Sr., all of them sat back and allowed Israel to be like Hitler. Be careful while you point in the face. I'm listening to the ambassador for Israel this morning on Morning Joe. Run that propaganda media crap to defend themselves. Oh, they're shooting rockets. Just stop it. So it comes to one thing. It's got to be a president that says to Israel, either you stop and sit down and parlay, or should we say, negotiate with the Palestinians, or we're cutting you off. We're not giving you no more of our money. But Israel says behind closed doors, oh, really? You're not? Then we're going to unleash the mercy on the U.S. to the media and let the American people know just what the U.S. did 60 years. And you best believe Israel got goods on the U.S. on what the U.S. has been doing for 60 years in this country to the American people. So, it's propaganda, it's games, but the Palestinians are being wiped out because Israel wants that property. And let's bite and stop with the stupid code words and stop with the playing games and put pressure on Netanyahu. And yes, say to the Palestinians, stop shooting the rockets, stop pushing the rockets, your rocks across. Come on. But unless this stops, what Israel and Netanyahu, which is a mobster, we don't have time to deal with that character. He should have been locked up a long time ago. Netanyahu, unless we put pressure on him and say, either you stop or you will not get another penny of our, 30 to 50 billion dollars that Israel get, and that money should be going to African Americans in reparation. That's another day at another time, John, but
yes,
you don't have time to deal with that.
I got to jump in here. I appreciate your flows, man.
So I just wanted to bring the choppers up to speed with history on why you're seeing in the media what's going on.
All right.
Have a nice day.
You too, brother. Have a great day. That's John from Princeton. Well, not Princeton, New Jersey. From Florida now. It's John from Florida. Let's go straight back to the phones. His take on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. What do you think? What do you agree, disagree? Back to the phones we go. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, Nate? This is Brian.
Hey, Brian. Good morning.
Good morning to you, man. Well, I was planning on just listening today, but I had to call in because I thought that John, even though, people disagree with John and John has, various things to say, I thought he would be more knowledgeable about this history, and he is not. So, I'm going to offer something for people to consider. Jews and Muslims have not been fighting for thousands of years in that territory. That is a complete prevarication that is set up by the U.S. government following or leading into and following World War II. People in that territory, by and large, lived together in peace for thousands of years. And their religions were not barriers to them functioning together. That's complete nonsense. What did happen is very much connected to World War II, where the United States, if you talk to people, U.S. is terrible when it comes to wars. They wage wars for land and blah, 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 blah. People will say, well, not World War II. That was one example where we were fighting for justice and fascism. Complete falsehood. The Holocaust that took place, organized by the fascist regime in Germany, had already carried out the vast majority of the Holocaust, and the U.S. government had closed its borders to the vast majority of Jewish people trying to flee those horrid conditions imposed by that fascist regime. It was only when the United States saw an opportunity for land and power grab after Russia and Germany basically beat each other into the ground. The U.S. came in and set up a justification for them to enter the war after most of the fighting was done and after most of the killing of Jews was done. And that's how and this is on U.S. history records. This is not something that just radicals or something like that come up with. The United States provoked Japan into bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki as a justification for them to enter the war. When they entered the war, then all the propaganda about fascism and all this stuff started. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that fascism was already completely defeated or something like that, but the idea that the U.S. entered the war because of Jews being killed is ridiculous. So one of the things that took place in the course of that was the justification for Israel, setting up a place where, that's supposedly a Jewish homeland where people could go to, because they have been persecuted around the world. All the fact of persecution is true, but what they were doing was setting up a beachhead for U.S. imperialism. People always act like Israel is the boss telling the U.S. what to do. No, it's in the U.S. tells Israel what to do. And they use them as a junior oppressor of Arabs in that territory. That's what Israel is for. They're beholden to the U.S., as was indicated during the original Gulf War when Israel wanted to go full ham and launch massive missiles into Iraq and into the Arab territories, and the U.S. would not give them the launch codes and slapped them in the face and told them to stand down. That was the moment where you knew who was really boss, and it's been the case ever since. The reality of the matter is Israel, the U.S. government wants Israel to smash brown people in that area. They want it to become an area where the tumult that exists because brown people are trying to fight for land and liberation, they have somebody there that has their back. It's like them sending out an advance guard to hold their interests. And anytime there's an oil interest, anytime there's some other thing that is in the U.S.'s interest, check out how they function and use Israel as part of it. So I just think that it's extremely important. If you look at a map between 1948, when Al-Nakba occurred, when the first moves to take that, to officially seize that Palestinian land, you look at a map then, and you look at a map now of how much Israel controls and how much Palestinians control, and you can see that despite the illegal character of the expansions that they're doing, it's like a global version of gentrification, where the map, the Palestinian area is green, the Israel area is red. It starts off mostly green, and now you only see a few green specks. All that is done illegally. All of that is done violently. So before people start talking about, but they're throwing rocks or they're launching missiles, think about it like this. You own a neighborhood. It's a Black-owned neighborhood. And then violently, piece by piece, some other grouping comes in and takes it. Now, it's illegal for them to take it. They're not buying it. They're literally coming in with baseball bats, kicking you the hell out. And then the world says it's that when you fight back because your house is being taken, that you're the aggressor. The people who are fighting you have machine guns, missiles, tanks, every single kind of thing you can imagine. And all you have, because you're not a technologically advanced, militarily technologically advanced people, is rocks. So that's what you throw. But you're throwing them in self-defense. But every time that self-defense happens, the media tells the story that the fight started when you picked up the rock, not when they came into your GD house. That's what's going on in Palestine. And it's not Israelis versus Arabs. It's the state of Israel versus Arabs and Jews that use religion to try to carry out a land occupation and a seizure at the expense of Arabs and Jews ultimately. To me, that's what's going on there, brother. So I'm sorry for the extended remarks, but the history of these things has to be made clear. And even though John's end result, which is, Israel should stop bombing Palestine and taking territory, the reasons why are important. That's all, brother. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. I'm here for it, man. That's Brian Taylor breaking it down. Then we talking about Israel. We talking about geopolitics. I love it. I love it. And you never know. You never know when people are going to have strong opinions about certain things. But, yes, Black people care about geopolitical interests, international politics, what's happening around the world. It affects us like everybody else. So I'm here for the conversation. Good morning to you. Hey, listen, if you were thinking, hey, I want to call in, I got an opinion, you can shoot me a call at that number right there, 513-873-7134. Good morning to you. If you missed it, make sure you circle back around and check out the Echo Chamber podcast like last night with Brother Christian Boykin. Check him out. Lift him up. People are saying great things. Okay, great things. Somebody says, I like this brother. Tracy writes, I could listen to him all day. Teach, brother, teach. Somebody writes, Brian is correct for the most point. Tabitha writes, can we keep it black? Dale writes, Palestinian issues equals black issues in America. So I know there's certainly some kinship that people feel there. Let me go back to the Chop Shop. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning to you, sister. Ray writes here. Ernest Baker writes, in a world full of Matt Barnes, be a Kwame Brown. I did see that. I thought that Kwame was just attention seeking. I saw Matt Barnes' response to him. He was like, bro, I tried to reach out to you, but you just want to do this. I don't know. Did they mention Kwame Brown or something like that? You know, he's been like a joke or something because Michael Jordan recruited him, drafted him number one. He didn't really turn into a number one kind of big man. Still a terrific ball player to make it to the NBA, but I guess he said enough is enough. Brenda writes, happy Tuesday. Brandy writes, good morning. CG Dub writes, good morning, Choppers. Hacksaw Jim Thuggin writes, please stop dissing me like I don't see the disrespectful posts. Stop being consumed with me. It's tired. CG Dub writes, it's the annoying sound in the size of the cicada for me. Is that right? I agree with her on this. I hope they lose every game. Speaking of FC Cincinnati. Drop writes, good morning, Choppers. Hashtag black not Democrat. Black not vaccinated. He is hilarious. Anybody heard from the Politically Petty podcast show? ? Calling all overseers to mount up and go find the PPP show. Sharp writes, interesting in knowing more about them trying to change the West End name. I-75 destroyed the Kenyon Bar neighborhood, and now a soccer team trying to do the same thing. I don't doubt it. Because the West End now belongs to the ownership of the FC Cincinnati. That's the whole thing. That's their neighborhood now. They're the big dog. They're the big dog that calls the shots in the FC Cincinnati, in the West End now. It's FC Cincinnati. Those are the big dogs. And that's the way people liked it. You even had the former mayor, Mark Mallory, he came out. He was a consultant. So when you got the former mayor as a consultant, like I said, Jeff Birding and FC Cincinnati are smart people. They knew who to get on the payroll. They knew, okay, let's go get Mark Mallory. Cool, we got him. They already knew it. That's why I say Jeff Birding, if you got a tough court problem, like if we're trying to figure out food deserts, I nominate we get Jeff Birding on it. Because Jeff Birding can make the impossible happen. He's like David Blaine out of thin air. Street magic with Jeff Birding. He'll be like, and a fucking kangaroo will be in his hands or some crazy shit like that. I mean, he's got it like that. I nominate Jeff Birding to deal with all the more difficult issues in Cincinnati because he's Mr. Impossible. He can get anything done. Let's go back to the phones and say good morning and welcome to the show.
What's going on, Nate? How you doing, bro?
I'm doing great, Glenn. Welcome.
I appreciate it. Hey, I wanted to call after Brian. First of all, I'll say it publicly like I put in the chat. I said rack him. He came with a lot of information. And I just wanted to add to it because after listening to John and I heard old dude yesterday, Drippish, calling in with this BS. But Nate, what's happening over there in the Gaza Strip and happening in Israel is also leftover residue from your boy in the last 4 years. And just to add on what Brian was talking about, Benjamin Netanyahu, who's part of the Likud party, he went hard right over the last 4 years, just like a lot of other countries, went hard right when Donald Trump was in office. So he went buck-wild during that time, too. The United States paid little to no attention to the Palestinian people. If you remember, he moved, the embassy to Jerusalem and from his original place. These were all, gifts to the religious or the conservative Jewish community in America. And they started expanding more of the settlements into Palestinian territories. They just didn't give an F, Nate. And again, America over the last 4 years, they didn't say a whole lot, and he haven't gave them the wink and the nod to go ahead and do what you need to do. Just like he told the policeman, don't worry about ducking their head and, under the car when you're putting them in. If you bang them up beside the car, the police car, it's okay. That's what they did for Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, I believe over the last 2 years, maybe it's the last 3.5 years, they've had 4 elections. He lost the last election. He's trying to collaborate with other groups to form a government. And again, the zealots, the hard right over in Israel, they came out in mass. They had their own Unite the Right party. But only it was, the Palestinians won't replace us with the tiki torches. That's what's been happening. And then when you talk about what's happening in the West Bank, where there's more of an Arab, Jewish melting pot, I guess you can say, as opposed to the Gaza Strip, which is basically a prison. That's all it is, guarded by Israel. And then you have Hamas, which, I guess you can call them like the black lion of the Palestinians, but they really about their life. They're not saying, oh, officer, why are you, messing with me or bothering me like the black lion did? So they're shooting off rockets trying to, defend themselves just a little bit. Because like you said, Nate, Israel has all the power. They have all the power. So, I guess you can say they don't have to be so heavy-handed. But then you can understand the side of when you say, well, I guess they have to, defend the innocent people in Israel, because there are Israeli Jews that are innocent, but there are plenty of Palestinians that are far more innocent than what's happening there in the Gaza Strip as opposed to Israel as a whole. So I just wanted to get that out there, just to add a little more to what's going on over there. Of course, and Sarah's absolutely right. Sarah, apologize if I messed up your name. But he talked about the United States giving the requisite response. Israel has a right to, defend themselves. Okay, we get all that. But if you see what's happening now, Nate, and I suggest people go back, if you want to, look on YouTube after Nate's show, and check out Joy Reid from last night. She had Rashida Tlaib on her show. She's Palestinian. A lot more Democratic Congress people in the House are speaking up in support of the Palestinians and against the Jewish occupation and calling it apartheid. Nate, these were like third and fourth rails when you said anything about the Jewish state. Am I right or wrong, Nate?
I think you're right.
I mean, even if it's any tad of support for innocent people, children not dying, that was seen as, oh, you're being anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic. Like, no. You can make the point that, no, we're just talking about innocent people. There's this interview out now with this little girl. She learned English from YouTube. I think she's like 12 or 13 years old. And she's been, they have the cuts all night where she's talking about, they're just killing us. The Israelis, they occupy the Palestinian people. And, why does this happen to us? And, it's, right to your heart type stuff. But you're like, this is a kid trying to explain it all. So that's what we're going to right now. And I don't know how much Joe Biden can do, quite honestly. I mean, this has been going on for how long now? But there's a different voice out there, Nate. And like I said, I'm happy to see it. There have been rallies all around this country for the Palestinian people. And again, it has nothing to do with being anti-Semitic. I think there's a difference between the hammer and the nail. And I think those are sensibilities that I think everybody can agree on somewhat. We can split the baby in half. So just wanted to get that out, man. I'm supposed to be at work, but we're having technical difficulties. So
is that right?
That's okay. I can call the Nathan Ivey Show.
Oh, I appreciate you, man.
Actually, I'm delaying it just a little bit. But like I said, man, I just wanted to get that in, bro.
Glad you
have a good one, Nate. I appreciate you taking my call, man. You know how it is. Hopefully in the end, they get one. I'm spitting. Petty peace.
Appreciate you. That's Glenn checking in. Hold on 1 second here. This light is killing me. All right. It's a little better. That's Glenn checking in. Let me take a quick break. You got me up until the top of the hour for another 20 minutes. All right. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Let me scare you real quick. Oh, the cicadas are coming. Oh, run in fear. I'm clowning ya. Yeah, I am. They're nothing more than insects. That's it. You'll be okay. We'll take a quick pause and come right back. Don't go anywhere. It's the Nathan Ivey Show. I'm live. I'm local. And I'm vocal. And we'll be right back.
you, me, you, me, you, me, yeah. I believe in you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, yeah. Let's stay here for a lifetime underneath the moonlight, 'cause I don't want us to go. No, I don't want us to go home. Yeah, you could be my lifeline, you could be my sunshine in a world so full of pain. Can you make it go away? It used to be so sad that love was lost, but now it's here to stay. Yeah, I used to be uncomfortable, but look at me today. Never thought I'd find someone like you, someone to show the way. But now I know you're the answer to my prayer. You, me, must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You, me, must do something right. We can't get enough of us. You, me, every night, aiming for the stars with the love so bright. You, me, must do something right. Baby, I believe in us. I believe in you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, yeah. I believe in you, me, you, me, you, me, you, me, yeah. I'm sorry for the burden, sorry I was hurting, but my scars are almost healed. Yeah, my scars are almost healed. Yeah, I'm feeling like a child now. Everything's alright now, and it's all because of you. You made the flower in me bloom. Used to be afraid of everything, but now there's no more fear. Yeah, I used to let nobody in and hide my face with tears. But we thought of you as someone who can love someone like me. But I was wrong, baby, now I believe. You, me, must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You, me, must do something right. We can't get enough of us. You, me.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. As I said, just a quick break. You got me up into the top of the hour. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And on the line, we got a caller on the line. Brother Powell's on the line. Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
What's going on with Ivy?
How you doing, brother? Welcome.
I'm going to tell you something. This is the most important topic you could ever bring up on this show. And I'm specifically talking about SC Cincinnati. Because I've been listening the whole time. And I'm like, man, I got to get in to prove one point that I've been saying I've been, unfortunately, in this city more than half of my life, and I'll be 50 October 28th. This is the problem with Cincinnati. Once again, we keep talking about SC Cincinnati, but there's two elements missing from this discussion. Brother Ivy, there was two neighborhoods brought up when they first brought up SC Cincinnati. It was really four, but they ended up with two. I left City Hall and went to one neighborhood. The name of that neighborhood was Oakley. You couldn't even get in. It was hundreds and hundreds of people. I went to the door. Most black people going to say they heard of this or knew this, but they wasn't, because they wasn't invited into the room. They asked me one question: who are you and where you from? I said, my name is Brother Powell. I work for Tamaya Denard's office. Do not forget I just said, brother, listen, audience. Nathan Ivy, I call y'all the same because y'all, they love you, but here no there. They let me in, Brother Ivy, because they knew Tamaya Denard was voting no on the stadium. It was Tamaya, Silbach, and Wendell Young. Do not forget that, people. I think it was like 6-7, but we lost. But the people in Oakley knew what I was for. I got treated like the candy man giving candy to the kids because they automatically knew, wait a minute, she is voting no against this issue. Come in, Mr. Powell. It was only a few people that looked like us, but it was a ton of the other side. And I put no race down, but I'm saying this for a reason. When I went to Oakley, they had a lawyer the first day. They had a petition the first day. Pay very close attention, brothers, audience. I went to the West End a week later, and what did they have? They was already fighting to get rid of their president. I saw Kelly Prater, like a few black leaders there at the most. And the crowd was so small. In the beginning, Brother Ivy, you think the West End had a lawyer?
You think the West End had a petition? We must master group economics and group politics, people, because they was already lobbying in Oakley. But when I went to the West End, they were already fighting. I'm thinking to myself, you want to have one side win and the other side loses? This is why I want to go another part. But a Black Lion brought up a point, very interesting. Because the business community, you keep saying burden, no problem. Burden, lenders, farmers, it's a ton of them. And the one Black person they got, I'm not putting nobody down. That's called business. And those are people who lobby, who give money to politicians because nobody's bringing this up. Brother Ivy, was me, Wendell Young, didn't have a staff member there, but Silbach did. They loved us. We was cheering. I call it against the wall because all y'all got to do is go look back at the pictures. Cranley came in Oakley. David Mann, and I'm saying, look at the pictures and see if I'm making this up. No, David Mann was in Oakley. I call it against the wall. There was like two other politicians who was for the stadium. I called it against the wall because they had him against the wall. They put Cranley, Mann, and I believe there's one or two other people against the wall. Why? Because they were voting for the stadium, and Oakley made it abundantly clear: if you vote to put that in their neighborhood, you're going to lose again. What happened to the West End? There's been an election since the West End, but what happened? Do we get together? Do we lobby? That's over 500,000 people in Cincinnati. And you win with only 38,000? So where's the 72% missing coming from? Our community. There's 78 people listening on the show, Brother Ivy, and there's many other callers, people who listen who's not on Facebook. Ask yourself what happened if we master group economics and group politics. Because, Brother Ivy, Black Russian kept asking you, name the other millionaires. If there was other Black millionaires out there, where were they at when it comes to development? Where's the group at? I was like, wait a minute, he's making a strong point. If you going back and forth with Brother Ivy, ask yourself, Ivy, to name me 3 Black developers. Do they name them? Have they created them? Do they allow them to get the contracts? Or is this a game we playing? 2 things you make sure your children master. People listening on the buzz. Number 1 is chess. Number 2 is Monopoly. And I played it, and I was sneaky because I still am. And I call myself still in the money, but I wasn't learning the Monopoly game. This is the real game, y'all. And when a person earlier said Atlanta, I've been there. Houston, been there. Arizona. You cannot get away with doing these things. Because what happens, the people understand, as I said before, we need districts, but here's another discussion. If you ask yourself, out of everybody now at City Hall, how many of them have us, specifically Blacks, as a priority? It was Cranley, Mann, and 2 other people. Why am I saying Mann? Ask yourself. Politics is why and who. And the why of the game has been there forever, good old boys. The who is the person that's running now, that's been doing the same thing that they've been doing. And Black people call in, we go off, but we must learn to unite and lobby. That's how you stop them. That's how you stop them, y'all. It was too easy. I went to the West End and stayed 5 minutes. I walked out and said they're going to lose because they didn't unite. And you said it perfectly, Brother Ivy, on who did they start hiring. I thought I seen people look like me walk in the West End knowing they got paid. It's the game. I'm not mad at it. I'm just exposing y'all to the game, how this thing works. You keep saying Burden and his team, those are multi-millionaires. Taxpayer dollars always get used. This is not new. But what stops the politician? Him or her knowing they cannot win. Oh my God, I'm losing. Let me go over here and vote because I'm a fool. One more point before I get off. There was a ton of people at City Hall who was voting against the stadium. What happened? The phone began to ring. Those who put money, since we talk all day, put money into politics, I will not vote for you again. I'm thinking of 2 specific politicians, but I'm not going to say it because we need to learn to do our research. And they switched like it was nothing to the Black community. And then Black leadership started coming out of the woodwork, accepting money and consultants. I know they named specifically in the West End law. And that's our problem. All this talk is not going to work until we unite and put our resources together and get good politicians in there who understand the game. The whole world is just saved. We just own it, y'all. That's the sad truth of this discussion. On that note, it's interesting to hear people call in and listen to the station and believe that they deem that they are relevant. It's a numbers game. And why did we lose? And I say we because I definitely consider myself part of the West End, and that's where I'm from, downtown Ray Street. I went to Taft. Now I'm in College Hill. I was in Walnut Hills. This is the question. Who wins every time? Is it Hyde Park, Oakley, now Adams, Westwood? Is it them or us? And that's the sad truth. Even the Inquirer said it's 2 Cincinnati. Have a great day, y'all. Very interesting discussion.
All right, brother, take it easy. That's Brother Powell. Brother Powell, he was talking fast, but dropping a lot of knowledge. A lot of insights. Interesting. Cam writes, Powell be spitting. Yep. Teach Brother Powell. Appreciate it. Good morning to you. JD writes, Hightower comes to mind. Great caller. Sister Iris writes, this is what Dr. Claude Anderson has told us over and over again. Group economics, group thoughts, self-interest. Absolutely. Jericho writes, Black Lion call that I missed? I think he meant Black Russia. He meant Black Russia. You see, facts on facts on facts. So I'm detecting no pushback from the audience on that last flow. So the people are receiving it. All right, before we roll out of here today, I want to give you an update on how you can opt into the Ohio Vaxxer Lottery. You know, Ohio is doing a $1 million vaccination lottery. If you've got at least one of your vaccination shots, maybe you're taking like the Pfizer, so it's like a series of 2 shots. If you get at least one shot, they give you a card. You can use that to go online to sign up for it. And you must be, to register, let me see, write this number down, 1-833-426-5634. They also have a website. It's called Ohio Vaxxer Million website. Let me show you right here so you can check it out for yourself. They got a whole website and everything for this. That means that they're serious. Check that out. That means that they're serious. Check that out. Vaxxer Million. You can register right here on this website. Matter of fact, I'm going to post a link for my audience. And if somebody from the audience wins $1 million, you got to throw a party and invite us all to it. Okay. At the very least, throw a party and invite us all to it. Okay. Here's a link right there. So there's a link out there. You can check it out for yourself. And this is what the website looks like. You go to this website, click on adult registration, and then fill out your name right here and everything. Where you receive the vaccination, say location. And then your name is on a database. If you've already received the vaccination, they're going to double check it. You'll get confirmation. And then here you are registered to win $1 million. Why not? Why not? Why not take advantage of it? Take advantage of it, family, while you got a chance to. I mean, if they're going to give away $1 million anyway, you might as well take a shot at it. Again, check that out for yourself. That's the website. I posted a link for you. You can check it out, get that $1 million. And I hope that somebody in the audience wins. If not me, I hope that somebody in the audience wins. That's what I'm hoping. Oh, man, they're going hard at Kwame Brown. That's hilarious. Hilarious. I see Steven Jackson responded. I may get into it later in the week. She writes, I will not be throwing a party. Terry writes, the website is easy, a few questions. David writes, I signed up this morning. It takes 60 seconds to register. Yeah, 60 seconds can get you $600,000 after taxes. You get about $600, $650. For 60 seconds worth of work, that's super easy. I can do that. Tabitha writes, I claim it in the name. Letty writes, they ain't giving no black person $1 million. Dream on. I mean, it's a lottery. They don't know if you black or not, right? Your name comes up, you win. Simple as that. I guarantee somebody. I wouldn't be surprised if the first person that wins is black, because they want to try to push black people to get the vaccine. And that could be an incentive for some people. Like, oh, shit, damn, they just won? Let me get this vaccine in. Because it's so easy to get the vaccine these days. I mean, all you got to do is make a phone call, boom, you'll have it just like that. Just like that. Where we at here? Let me jump inside the chop shop. Israel equals FCC, Palestinians equals West End residents. That's sharp. Is that right? Miss D writes, greetings. Good morning to you, Miss D. Cass writes, Nathan, is always BS in the game. Yes. TNT writes, zip codes. They look at zip codes. They could do that. Cass writes, watch it be some old person who is on their last leg in a nursing home, whose upper class kids are already set that wins. They ain't about the chance giving $1 million to nobody else. Damn, we so cynical. What? Damn, we ain't got no optimism. Look, if you've gotten vaccinated, Why not? Go ahead. You've already did the hardest part. Go ahead. You might get lucky. Anything could happen in America. Anything could happen. All right. Just get your adult registration on. Read everything first. Sign up for it if you're inclined to do so. You might be like, I ain't giving them my information, but if you got the vaccine, they already got your information. You're not off the grid. Nobody is off the grid anymore. This idea that you can live off the grid because I ain't paying no taxes and I ain't doing it. You can't do none of that. That doesn't work. Listen, I'll leave you with that. Have an excellent rest of your Tuesday. I really appreciate you. Thank you for being here, everybody. I got to make a quick move. There's a lot of stuff going on. We'll catch up real soon. Have an excellent rest of your day. I know today is Tuesday. Tomorrow's hump day. Remember our motto. It's good every day, any place in the world, any time zone. Winners focus on winning. Losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning. And we'll talk real soon. I'm Nathan Ivey, and I'm out.